We've been fooling around with N8n, trying to do different things for a long time, and we've got like another whole series about the whole client onboarding workflow where I'm trying to do it without messing, well, not really without messing up, but like just winging it and building it and figuring it out as we go with you guys. Welcome back to my channel. Today's episode is going to be something different. It's something I've done for a client where the client actually was managing lots of different clients. It's like a social media marketing agent, and they needed a quick way to create articles and save them, say, to like a Google Drive. And then you can have the people editing the articles instead of writing them from scratch. And while, I can't share the entire template because, it's sensitive client material, I thought it would be really cool if I tried to rebuild the core parts so you can see what it would be like and how you might do the same for yourself. There are a few gotchas which I'll tell you about, and some interesting cool tricks about creating Google Docs automatically in N8n with the Google Drive API, and actually with the HTTP request node. But it's still Google's API, and that way you can just like have like a central place where you store your information. But the idea, because what I have here on the screen, and you'll see it right here, but I'm not gonna like zoom in because I don't want you guys to see it. I'm gonna do something else entirely because this is where the sensitive information is. The idea is we're going to take some of the most important bits of this and try to reproduce them. And then from there on, you can sort of like use the same ideas to build your own content creation or Google Doc creation workflows. But anyway, I was just going to start. This is personal onboarding form flow. So this is just from the other project where we were trying to automate client onboarding. I'm just going to have a new workflow here, and we're going to call it create enter content engine. Let's call it that. Let's call it a content engine. As usual, we're heavily going to use Gemini to help us along with this. We can use ChatGPT too. I've just grown very fond of Gemini lately. It's pretty good with this technical work. But the idea was simple. The idea was to have a form, right, where you enter things like maybe the name of the client, maybe their website, that kind of thing. And then the keywords or the topics that you'd like to cover. And then an AI agent would do some online research, write a certain number of words about that topic, complete with external linking. And then the system is going to upload that content as a Google Doc, properly formatted into your Google Drive. And that way you can have like a bunch of these, which you can like check out later and edit. It can even email you, letting you know that the thing has gone. And so there's some interesting tips and tricks that I'll share along the way, just so you can get the idea. But yeah, so as usual, we're going to start with like a really high level view of the thing. Let me see if I can get a tail draw going. All right. So what would I have here? So let's call this content engine. Yeah, so basically you have a form, and this form goes to an AI agent. And of course, there are lots of intermediate steps, but it's good to get the bigger picture here. Form will have, the form will have enter content brief. And as usual, my level of organization is absolutely terrible. You can see my arrow is doing this. Like if you have OCD, you're probably not going to enjoy my videos that much. But anyway, that goes to an AI agent that kind of does research, right? And then some other steps here, right? So you got like save to Google Doc, properly formatted, of course. Save to Google Doc. right? So we're gonna have that Save to Google Doc. Save Google Doc to Google Drive. I think that's it. Google Doc to Google Drive. And of course, you're going to mention here that it is properly formatted. Right? Right. Fantastic. So I'm going to copy heavily some of these bits just so the video can go a bit quicker, but you will get the essence. It's not very difficult. You have a form. As you can see here, I start with a form. I actually don't mind, guys, zooming in. It's just that I can't really reveal everything about this. Probably it would be best to just like focus on the parts we want. So we have the assignment brief. And the way that works is you have a form here, a form trigger. And let's think, what would you want? So let's say because that one was for clients, let's say this is something that you want. You want an article on for yourself, right? And you say, I want to give it a topic, give it some topics to research, some keywords, and that's it. And the AI agent just goes and does its stuff and gives me, and the next thing I know is I get an email a few minutes later and there's a Google Doc with a link to a Google Doc in my drive where I own this content. I can do whatever I want with it afterwards. I can post it on my website. I can maybe figure out how to add pictures, whatever. I can read it and edit it, whatever. But the real good part is, how do you get that bit where after doing the research and having the article written, it's actually a properly formatted Google Doc in your Google Drive? So we can have like a simple thing, call it a content brief right there. Whenever I get stuck, I'm just going to have Google Gemini do something for me. But here we'll say, enter a topic or a few questions, a topic or topics, topics that the, okay, how about a topic? Enter a topic for the AI to research and write on, right? And so we're going to have topic, and we kind of want, we're going to have just one topic for now for simplicity, though, you know, it's possible to do a lot more topics, like have multiple topics that the thing can do, but just for simplicity, we'll do that. Enter a brief topic idea. So yeah, enter topic idea. Yeah, brief topic idea. Then we're gonna call that topic idea and maybe make this a required field. And then of course we can add that your email. So email. And this is where it's going to get sent back. So it's going to be an email field. So you'll get an email notification later on with links to the Google Doc that got made. Enter your email address and then just make that a required field. Great. It's a very simple thing, but you can see here that if I click on execute step, I should have it as a content brief, enter a topic idea, blah, 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 blah. And you can submit, like, let me look at a brief topic idea. AI doing math. And then maybe the email would be my email, ramsey@n8n.com, and submit that. And we should go back here and see that we probably got the results. No? We didn't? Well. That is weird. I'm not sure why it did that, but like, I'm sure if I just stop it, because sometimes N8n does that, where it just keeps running the execution even though it's pretty much done behind the scenes. Like the UI is lagging behind what's actually happening behind the scenes. And we are already debugging, because we already have a few problems. I know it's not my Wi-Fi, but anyway, usually I just reload the page and then I go to executions and I look at the most recent execution. And that will give me the results I want. And then I just copy to the editor. And there we have it. So topic idea was AI doing math. Email was ramsey@n8n.com. Technically it should be AI doing maths, but I've become so Americanized that now I say math. Anyway, on form submission. Now, how might we go about this? So if it's like a topic, you kind of want a brief. So you want an AI agent that can research this, find stuff on there, and then maybe pass on like a really good brief with data and links onto another AI agent that does the writing. That way you just do like a separation of concerns. And then the other AI agent can pass it on to an AI editor, which can clean it up. And then from there on, we can figure it out. I guess the AI, from the AI editor, you'd be creating the Google Doc or something like that. But anyway, let's just fool around. Let's say we're getting an AI agent here, and the prompt's gonna be below, and we have some stuff going on. We're gonna add a system message. That's always necessary. And we are going to add a chat model. Now, one thing I did notice, right, is that if you use OpenAI's chat model, tool use is pretty easy, but it's not as good. It's not as good with OpenRouter. With OpenRouter, tool use can really be weird. It might not work, but we'll try OpenRouter. By the way, in case you're interested in knowing, OpenRouter is this really cool service that allows you to access any kind of model, any kind. Gemini, OpenAI, DeepSeek, they've got like a ton of models here, even the latest ones, you know? They've got Mistrals, they've got Baidu's Ernie, they've got ZAI, they've probably got Kimi K2 somewhere in there. So it's really good. It's like an aggregator of models, and you can sort of like use it to do lots of different things. You can plug it in to use lots of different models in your N8n workflows. So you just create an account, and then you can create an API key by coming to keys under your profile. So I already have mine set up, but yeah, you should probably try OpenRouter because they have this really cool node. I just don't know how good this particular node is with tool use if you use an OpenRouter chat model, but we're gonna find out. If not, we'll just default back to OpenAI's models. Anyway, I'm okay with GPT 4.1 mini. You should ideally set up your credentials where you'd enter your AI keys, your API keys, but I've already done that. So OpenAI GPT 4.1 mini. And how is it gonna do its research? Well, it's gonna use Firecrawl. I love Firecrawl. Firecrawl does scraping. I've heard of something called Bright Data. I was watching a video by N8n staff developer advocate Angel Menendez, and he was using Bright Data to scrape data from Reddit, which is really cool. I haven't played around with it yet, but I'm gonna try it, and if it turns out to be really cool, I'm gonna stop using Firecrawl and start using that. But one of the reasons why I love using Firecrawl right now is because I have something called MCP. The MCP client tool. Now, MCP is the Model Context Protocol, and it's this really new way for models to talk to tools instead of like doing raw API requests. The model can just like come here, and I have a Firecrawl MCP. You can set up your credentials, which are pretty interesting to know how to set them up. But anyway, I'm gonna show you. If you have like a credential, like let's say I was doing a new credential, you would have the command. I always use the stdio because that means Firecrawl, the MCP tool will be running directly from your machine. But there's like another one that's SSE. I've never used it. I prefer MCP because I have this instance of N8n running in Railway. So it's better for me to have Firecrawl running directly in my server. And it's much easier to set up than SSE anyway, the server sent events. But if you want me to do a video on how you can set up MCP, both stdio, which is it running locally, and send server events, let me know in the comments and we can talk about it. But anyway, you just come and have a command of npx, then you have -y space firecrawl -mcp, and then for environments, you're going to have your Firecrawl API key. And how does that work? Well, if you go to Firecrawl MCP on GitHub, right there, and you look at how they set up the, oh my God, that's not what I was talking about. I think it's this one. So it's the GitHub page by Mendable AI. Actually, if you go to the N8n community nodes, because the particular MCP node I'm using is a community node. So if you have self-hosted, which is much better for you to kind of like follow along, then you would go to N8n community nodes, right? And you're going to find it at npm's registry, that's npm.js. And if you come here and you say MCP, that's the MCP. N8n nodes MCP, you're going to see that it has a few instructions on how to do credentials. But the idea is you are supposed to have the environment variables. So basically you have MCP Firecrawl API key or something like that. And then that's what basically, where is it? That's what basically you get to put inside. So your API key will come from the Firecrawl website. You can go to Firecrawl and create an account. I know that I'm just not gonna have that because I don't want you to see my API keys, but just go to Firecrawl. And I know that they have, so they give you the API keys and then they give you 500 free credits. Which you can use for browsing just to try it out before you start paying for more credits. But anyway, you have this MCP client and there is a GitHub page. So once I come here, I always go to the GitHub page. Is this Mendable or Nerding? N8n nodes MCP. I'm not sure if I'm on the right one, but it should probably be Mendable. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So if I go back here and just make sure, because this is N8n nodes MCP client, this is an entirely different one than the one that I'm recommending. N8n nodes MCP. So that's what I want to look for. Let me just search. Is this the one by Mendable? That is quite weird. Okay, so I think it should be this one. It just doesn't, it looks a little weird because I don't remember it being by Nerding.io, but it does seem to be by Nerding. The one I have would actually be Mendable. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I think it is the one by Nerding. Anyway, it's an MCP server. So just go to N8n nodes MCP client and you can get it right here. And you can go check out the guy's GitHub, basically, where he shows you how to set it up. But yeah, so you're supposed to have where you enter your API key, it'll be Firecrawl API, Firecrawl _API_key equals, and then your API key. And that's what goes here under environments. And you're going to get it set up. So I have everything here, right? And the good thing about this is now I can talk directly with Firecrawl without making complex API requests. And so there's a tool description you can either have automatically set based on resource and operation. And then you have these operations where you can execute a tool, list tools, read resources. I think specifically if you want to use specific tools, you would just like go to Firecrawl's website and find the different endpoints. But you can also have it list tools, you know? Like for example, if I have this, And I have this AI agent. I'm just going to show you something really, really cool. So if I just connect this AI agent to a chat trigger instead, right? So I can talk to the AI agent directly. And then for the system message, I'll just like get rid of that and then go to connect a chat trigger node. For the prompt, now I can talk to it, right? So if I open this chat and I tell it, can you list the tools available in the MCP client tool? I think it should be able to do something. Okay. I think it really did run. It's just that the UI didn't catch up again. But anyway, if I copy this to the editor, you can clearly see here that it did run. And it says the MCP client provides the following tools. So I'm just going to try and increase the size of this, but you can see the Firecrawl scrape content from a single URL, specific size, single page content exactly, Firecrawl map, Firecrawl crawl, Firecrawl check crawl status, Firecrawl search for searching the web. I think we're going to have a Firecrawl search tool. Firecrawl search for it to search the web and extract content from search results. And then Firecrawl extract structured data from web pages using LLM capabilities. And then Firecrawl deep research, conduct deep web research in a query using crawling, search, and LLM analysis for complex questions. Actually, why don't we try Firecrawl deep research? Let's just look at the Firecrawl website and see Firecrawl deep research. Okay, this is really cool. But yeah, so the deep research endpoint enables AI-powered deep research and analysis on any topic. Simply provide a research query and Firecrawl will automatically explore the web. Oh, this is really cool. This is definitely worth trying out. So it's Firecrawl_deep research, I believe, right? Firecrawl_deep_research. So let's have it there, actually. This would help a lot because basically I'm gonna get rid of this chat. I'm just gonna put this back. And then I'm going to switch this over to defining below. So it's getting its input through that. And what we're going to do is we're going to have like a really nice prompt for this. But I'm just going to get like delete this and come here and pick this. And this is where I start using AI heavily. But you'll see what I mean. I always have a copy a lot of the time of my workflow JSON whenever I'm asking Gemini a question. So it has a lot of context as it tries to answer my question. And then we're going to come here and do that. And then we're going to say, hey, I have this workflow. And actually what I want to do here, I'm just going to change this over again. So instead of having it list tools, I'm going to have it execute a tool because we already know what we want it to execute. And then we're going to say Firecrawl deep research. And I don't know what the tool parameters are. What are the tool parameters per Firecrawl? I think all you have to do is have the query. You can do max depth, time limit, max URLs, etc. Okay. Okay, so so let's look at the Firecrawl deep research and see. No. What is this? No, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. So Control F, Firecrawl deep research. Is it there? Come on. You know you're somewhere here. Yeah, there you are. Firecrawl_deep_research. So you conduct deep web research and when you need results quickly, deep research can take time. Query string required. So these are the arguments. You're gonna have the query string, the research question and topic to explore, the maximum depth, which is a number and it's optional, the maximum recursive depth for crawling, okay, the time limit, number optional in seconds for the research session, the number of maximum URLs to analyze, default is 50, and a prompt example, research the environment impact of vehicles versus gasoline, usage example. This is what I wanted. So arguments. So tool parameters would be N. So we have like this query here. Just gonna go to the table version and try to see if I can like copy that off of here. And this is why MCP is so cool, you see, because just writing the tool, the API call, I can actually get all the information without having to go back and forth, you know, like to go read the docs in Firecrawl. But the JSON is supposed to be something like this. Name, Firecrawl, research, deep research. I guess we won't know, you have to do that because we already have the tool name. So that kind of covers the name bit. What we want are the arguments. So we're going to copy this little JSON and right up to there, and then paste it here. Boom. Now you need to clean this up, obviously. And you can just use Gemini for that. Okay. Please clean up this JSON for me and properly format it. And you're just gonna have your JSON there. And it's gonna do its thing. Great, that's all I needed. And then you're going to come back here and paste. And now we have it. And now the query is not going to be this fixed thing. It's going to be an expression. We're going to say it's an expression so we can enter a variable. And then we're going to have something like that from AI. Sorry, you have to remember to do that so that you can write valid JavaScript. But anyway, so I think it should be from AI research query. So you just have it written like that, and then you have like a key placeholder like research query or just query, like so. I don't know why it's saying undefined right now, but you know, hopefully it figures it out. Populate this with the parameter passed on. So get the name of the person from AI, name, key description, type, default value. Populate with this parameter. Okay, so anyway, I think that should be good. Max depth can be 3, time limit can be 120, max URLs can be 50. You can leave those hard-coded and let AI just fill in the query itself, right? And then the description will be set automatically, or you can set it manually. Use this tool to make research queries, or something like that, I don't know. So now we have this thing going on, right? So we've got this. It is showing me undefined. I don't know why, but I really hope it doesn't become a problem. If it becomes a problem during execution, I'm gonna have to figure it out. But yeah, so if I were to just like let me just copy this. This is the thing about me, is I'm constantly experimenting, but if I was to just do that and say define automatically by the model, that's just like a trick in N8n where you can just like click this, but then if you click it back, it now shows you what it was doing here. So JSON, tool parameters, okay. So right now it is undefined. I guess it's undefined because it hasn't been called yet. There's no value coming in from the AI. The AI will figure that out. So let it remain undefined for now. And then the AI will figure it out. And now we need to figure out how to, what we're gonna do for the prompt of this AI agent. That's where, what's it called? That's where Gemini helps heavily. Okay, I have this workflow. I'm just gonna have the workflow JSON there. Workflow JSON. JSON Freddy versus Jason. Anyway, okay, I have this workflow and need to prompt the AI agent to do research on the given topic using the Firecrawl deep research tool in the NCP client, and then based on that, gather, put together a brief complete with sources that we can pass on to another AI agent that would do the actual writing. Right? Let's see what happens now. And we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and I need to put my phone on silent. And we're waiting, and there we have it. Okay. Of course, here is a clear and effective prompt you can use to instruct the AI agent. Anyway, role, you are an expert research analyst. You just get in-depth, high-quality information on a specific topic and organize it into a structured brief. Perform a deep research task using the Firecrawl deep research tool, and synthesize the findings into a comprehensive research brief. This brief will be passed to a separate AI writing agent, so it must be clear, well-structured, and contain all the necessary information and sources for creating a final piece of content. So the required output format, it even has a required output format with an executive summary, key themes and arguments, counter arguments and nuances, notable quotes, source list. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, so could you just write the whole thing for me in raw Markdown so I can easily copy paste into the agent? So raw Markdown is this stuff. I want everything here to be in raw Markdown. It makes it much easier. Yeah, something like this. This is pretty cool. Anyway, I'm just gonna copy this real fast and come back here. It's good to work with. Usually start with that, and then, you know, you kind of, I don't know if we need a system message now, but anyway, let's see. Let's maybe not have a system message for ease, just to make work easier. But ideally, you should separate your prompt into some part goes into the system, the parts that never change, and then the dynamic parts go into the user prompt. Anyway, so here we are. Role, primary goal, process, initial research. You'll receive a query. Use the mcp.firecrawl deep research tool to conduct a thorough investigation on this query. And the tool parameters, execute the tool with the following fixed parameters. Synthesize findings. The research, I don't know if this instruction is going to affect it because it only has access to the query param in the tool. But we'll find out. Required output format. So we do have a required output format, which is really cool. And so we're just going to take that, right? And sort of like just fire it up, right? Actually, you need to add the query at the end. So like, here is the query from the user. And then just like drag in your topic idea, like so. And now that topic idea can be researched, right? Let's see if it works. We're using GPT 4.1 mini, I believe, so. And of course, my N8n is gonna act up again. You know, on the video by Angel Menendez, you can see it on the N8n channel, the community whatever, where they were using bright data. His N8n acted up too, and he said there might be something wrong with this instance. And I've experienced this as well. Sometimes the UI just lags behind the actual execution. I'm not sure why. There must be a bug to be fixed there. Anyway, it is using the MCP client, and you can actually see the execution here. It says failed to execute. Why did it fail? But now this turned green, because now it actually came from the thing. Failed to pass tool parameters, unexpected token A. Oh, yes. I am so sorry about this. So this is where you see the first errors. As you can see, the tool param required a string, but there's no string there. So you have to remember to put in those quotes for this to work. And now I'm gonna have to stop this execution right away and just execute it again. But like, yeah, there's like a little gotcha you need to be careful about. If the shape of the request of the arguments, the JSON requires a string, don't forget the quotes. Look at the type. Now it should probably run much better. Let's see. So I think the limit is 120 seconds, so 2 minutes. We don't want the deep research agent to run too long. But in practice, if you're doing this for yourself, you can really set the limit to as long as you want. Even the max depth, like how many URLs goes for, how deep into a website, like does it follow links and stuff, and then max URLs that it goes through, you can actually play around with that. It's going to consume more credits though, but probably worth a try to experiment on. Let's see if it actually works. So I guess the reason it's still executing is because it's waiting for a response from, whatchamacallit, from Firecrawl, where the deep research endpoint is running. So let's see. Yeah, so it did run. Great. Wow. That is a lot. You know, when I built this for my client, I actually didn't do this, but now I'm like, maybe we should do something like this. Should go edit that workflow. But anyway, let's look at the output. So we have the output here, research brief, AI doing math, and it has the executive summary, and it has like a bunch of sources. This is so cool. Now we can pass it on to a writer, right? So we come here and we just copy that, and we come back to Gemini. And actually, you know, before we do that, let's do some work ourselves. So let's say we pass this on to, like, sometimes it's really good to use like a set node just to have things looking good. So you can have set, and then you can just like add a field here and call it the content brief, and then just drag that output in here. So, you know, it's just all like looking neat and stuff. They're not all the input fields, but like, yeah. So you could actually include other input fields and potentially it would pull everything, but has the output and content brief. Okay, I see. Well, I guess we can just have one input field. But like, you know, we'll need the email from here later downstream. So I'm always like trying to just remember to carry over the data from previous nodes that I might need later on. So we're going to have email there, and that just helps. So now I have the content brief and the email, right? Okay, and so we're gonna call this research analyst, right? And then preserve data. That's all I'm doing with that set node, really. And then we're gonna have an AI agent, another AI agent. And now, actually, by the way, it's so cool because OpenRouter worked. Sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know why. Like the tool call worked, but it worked because it was the MCP client. If I made it do an API call, I'm not sure it would have done the same thing. Again, another reason why you should use MCP more than you use other regular things. But we're gonna have like a prompt in here, and we're going to just sort of like, I don't know, who's a good writer. So we're going to go to OpenRouter, but I don't know which one would be like a really good writer. But let's say we use GPT-4o. I don't know. We're using my OpenRouter account, and let's look for the model. We can say maybe GPT-4o. I don't know. Which I heard Mistral is really good at writing. Claude probably too. But just for simplicity, I'll use GPT-4o. No? 4o latest? Let's use ChatGPT 4o latest. I don't know what that is, but okay. So we have that, and then do we need any tools for this? No, it's just writing. Okay, now that we've done like the scaffolding, we can just copy that, come back, talk to Gemini, and be like, workflow JSON, and say there, okay, so now I need the prompt for the writing agent, please. Proper, give it pointers for good writing and proper markdown formatting. Proper markdown formatting. Okay, and we're gonna have that in there. And now we should be able to get like a nice prompt. Oh yeah, I might have to remind it to give me raw markdown. Let's see how it goes. Oh, great. Yeah. So great. Yeah, the style guidelines. That's always good for a writing agent. So it does have some cool style guidelines. I'm just gonna open this up, turn this into an expression so I can expand it and then paste that, right? So it says AI agent prompt. So you're a senior content writer and editor. Your expertise lies in transforming structured research. I mean, because this video is going on so long, we might actually have it do both the writing and editing. We don't need an editor. But anyway, here's the brief. And then writing and style guidelines here about clarity, conciseness, engaging flow or whatever, engaging introduction to great evidence. Don't just list them, strong conclusion, Markdown formatting requirements, final deliverable. That's fantastic. And now we can just like run that and see what happens. And I have a feeling it has executed, but the UI is taking its sweet time to catch up. So let's see. Yep, succeeded. It really did succeed. And you can see it here. And what we're gonna do here is just copy this to the editor. So that's the last known execution. Okay. And you can see it does an article. And now here's where the magic happens. So what you do then is, if you look at what I was doing here, so like once I had like the article done, I would convert to HTML. You convert to HTML, and that makes it possible to upload to Google Docs while preserving the formatting. So the idea is the Markdown comes with specific formatting, the H2s, the H1s, all of that. If you convert to HTML, the Markdown, the single hash for H1, double hash for H2 becomes an actual H1 or H2 tag. So that formatting can then be transferred to a proper Google Doc, right? So you come here and you say HTML, so Markdown to HTML. No. Markdown, convert data between Markdown and HTML. Right, so we're converting Markdown to HTML and the Markdown is going to be the output here, right? And the destination key will be HTML, article HTML. So we'll just give it like a name, like so. And now if you execute that, we should be able to see, again, it's doing the thing. I'm not sure why it does that, but what I'm actually gonna do here is I'm actually gonna pin the output from this research analyst, simply because I don't want it to run the MCP client again. And then I'm gonna reload the page, like so. And then now I'm just gonna execute that workflow again. And it should do the writing again and all of that, and then give me the Markdown to HTML conversion. So I'll call this the senior writer editor. So you have that writing, and now you've got your HTML in here. You can see it. So what we want is to upload this to Google Drive, right? So let's say I have a drive here. I'm just going to go home, and then maybe I create like a new folder right there, and I call this folder articles, right? And I create it, and now I can go into the articles folder, and this is where I'll be posting my articles, just like something rudimentary. So what I would do next is I would create a very specific kind of request, and things get interesting here. So right here you will see you're gonna set some variables for the drive upload, but basically the request body is important. You need something called a boundary. So I don't know how to explain it, but in the API request itself, because you're going to do a very raw API request to Drive, okay? You're going to go to googleapis.com, upload Drive v3 files, and then upload type will be called multipart. That always comes at the end of the query string, in the query string, telling Google that this thing has multiple parts to it, and these parts are separated by a boundary. And so you need to look at each part and the content format or the content type that that part has and correctly interpret it when you're building the Google Doc to upload, right? You can have your credential. It's going to need the Google Drive OAuth 2 API. Okay, so and you can create a new credential here. So in order to do that, you're going to have to go to what's it called, to Google Cloud and create an API key over there. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to do that. And then you can update the file permissions, and then you can email the user. But the first thing to do, actually, I believe, is just build the request. And the request is very simple. So this is going to show up once you build the request and you're creating the file in Drive. You are going to have an N8n binary file. You're going to change this right here into a binary file, and that's what you're going to upload in Drive. And Drive is going to interpret that binary file and turn it into a Google Doc. Okay? Right. Good. I'm glad you got it. But let's see. The request body is this code node. And you can see here, it has a boundary. So in the body, right? In the body, there's a boundary right here. And then we have the content type, which is going to be application JSON. So it's telling it that the whole thing is going to be in the form of JSON. And then you get the file name that we're taking it to. And I guess we can set this before because we want to name the article. Maybe it can be the title of the article. The MIME type will be, the MIME type is telling Google what to convert the binary file to. So it's going to be vnd.googleapps.document. And then the parents are wherever the folder is coming from. The parent folder in this case would be your articles folder. And you're going to get this parent ID, folder ID to put in there. Okay? And then what else? What else are we doing? And then we're going to have the boundary again. And that boundary now, after that boundary is where we have a different content with content type text HTML, and that's where your article HTML goes. And then you basically take that and return it as a binary file. And the way to use the binary file is using the buffer.fromBody.toString base64. This is a very special code. I would love to go into the details. You can even ask Gemini, you can paste this into Gemini and it can explain to you how it's happening. But ideally, you should just like copy this as it is and dump it in and fill in the relevant variables in here in order to get it working. But once you have that, you can easily upload to Drive and it's going to show up as an actual document. Anyway, I'm just going to copy all of this. And we're gonna have to do some stuff before we get there, but we're gonna have like a set node in there where we're going to set some stuff. And then we're gonna have a code node where we're gonna have the actual code, because the code relies on stuff. It relies on stuff that's been set before. Anyway, it's running once for each item. I just wanted to confirm that. So run once for each item. And then we can see here that we need a folder ID. So that's what we're going to put in the JSON right here in the set node. So add field folder ID. And you can just like directly copy the folder ID from the URL of whatever folder you choose to create. I just like to do that sometimes raw. But you know, you can also do it dynamically depending on your workflow. So that's the folder ID. Maybe the file name. And maybe that can be article, topic, and then pass on the query from the previous place. So this was from maybe the previous set node. Or is it this? I think it's from here. So you can just pass on that topic ID here. Right? Okay, I'm gonna need to make this an expression. So article topic, or just do like topic idea for the file name. Topic idea, and yeah, AI doing math. And then there's the folder ID. So that's the file name and the folder ID. And then we have the article HTML. And that's just going to come from the Markdown, where we have the HTML in there. That's fantastic. And what else would we need in this code now? Let's see. So folder ID is there. Article HTML is covered. And file name is covered. Right? Great, great. Now I can run this and it should give me something. So it's giving me all of these nice things. And I'm pretty sure if I now run this, it will have the right variables. And there you have it. There's the binary file, as you can see, right? Great, fantastic. Now what we do next is we create the file in Drive. And for that, we are going to just duplicate this HTTP request node and have it come here. And we're gonna need credentials. So to do that, I'm just gonna be like, create a credential here. And basically what you need is a client ID and a client secret. So I kind of have those already. And if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna turn off the screen feed so I can actually do that. But the idea is to go to Google Cloud and create a project. There's like a whole thing. I don't want to do it like, I don't want to walk you through this, but like I'll leave the link to the N8n documentation where you can easily do this. And basically I have done it now. We have the, you can take the display back, by the way. Yeah. We have the thing. So basically the URL is this, HTTPS, Google API, blah, blah, blah. And I think I'm going to share the workflow template for this one. It's been a while. So you can kind of like see all of these for yourself. And on the body, you say send body, N8n binary file. You can choose send a binary file and the body will come from here. And guess what? It's going to go to the place where you want it to go. The folder, the ID that you shared, that's where it'll go. And if I execute that step, let's see what it does now. Look, comes back. And it says there's a folder there. And if I go back to that drive right here, right? And I reload, I should be able to see that file, right? No? I think it took it to a different folder. What's the folder ID? I must have gotten the folder wrong. Kind drive file. Where did you, yeah. Okay, it may have taken it to a different folder. Did I take it to the right folder? What did I name the folder? This is the folder ID, right? Because it's not here. So we're just gonna have to do some, but I'm pretty sure if I come back here and I look for topic ID, you can see it's in the main folder, like literally, and it's all very well, even with sources, it's all very well formatted. So you have like a whole article, but basically, I think I should get the folder name right, you know. Let's go to articles and just copy that folder ID really well. Copy, and then come back here and make sure this stuff is passing on. Is that what I'd copied here? No, it wasn't. That's why. I copied the wrong folder ID. But anyway, it's okay. If I ran it again, I'm pretty sure this time it would work. Yeah. It should work much better this time. I don't know if it's still gonna, but yeah, now it's showing up in the right place. And you can even email yourself because it does give you this thing. It gives you the ID. Because if you look at like an article URL, it's docs.google.com/document/d/ whatever the folder ID is, something like that. So, you know, you can easily get that. It's this one actually. So same thing. And I think that's exactly what I do here. If I just copy this, so this is like an email, and you can have like an edit fields node where you add a bunch of stuff. But like, let's just say that I have a set node here, right? And in here I have a email address. I want to have an email address where to send the email. And then the email is just gonna come from some other place. I don't know, from the preserved data thing. We can drag that there. And then maybe here we can have a file ID, which is what's going to come from the response to this thing, right? As an ID, and maybe a file name, right? And that can come from the name, just like that. And now we have that execute step. So we're just going to execute that real quick. And now we can have like this email thing. I'm just going to copy that and paste it here, right? And if you come, you can just like have the to thing here as, you know, whatever the email is. Say you're going to send an email. And then the subject will just be the file name, maybe. And then the message, that's where things get interesting. So basically the document is going to go here. So this is just from like my client stuff. Hello, your article is ready. You can find it at the link below. And basically you just like have the base URL for Google Docs and then just like introduce the variable as the file ID from this other place. It's actually not ID, but rather this file ID. There we go. And now it should be working fine. That is the correct file ID, isn't it? The 11NRC thing. Yeah, it's the same thing as this. Yeah. And now if I execute this step, I should be getting an email, right? Let me see if I got that email. Right. So that's how you put things in Drive the right way. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Took a little longer than I thought it would, but we've created a system that you can use to enter topic ideas in a form and have AI do deep research for you, write a properly formatted article for you, and then upload it to your Drive and email you with a link to that file. And you can extend it in many ways. You can like add other little bits in the workflow that add pictures to the article. You can have it automatically post maybe to your WordPress site or whatever. You can chop it up into little LinkedIn posts and post them on LinkedIn. There's so much potential here. But yeah, let me know what you think. I'm gonna leave a link to the template in the comments, in the description. And if you do wanna work with me, if you have workflows in your business that you'd like automated, or you'd like to just have like a general, get started with like an AI and bring automation and AI to your business, let me know. I'm always open. I'm gonna leave my contacts below. And with that, I have come to the end of this video. Until next time, cheers. Bye-bye.